Okay, so what at the Disruptive Innovation Fund, one of the things that we used to figure out how quickly an innovation would be adopted was the S curve.
Yes.
So it looks kind of like this, and it was popularized by E.M. Rogers in 1962. And we used it, and he used it to again gauge like how quickly will this innovation, whatever it is, diffuse throughout the marketplace. Well, the second big insight, aha, really that I had as we were investing is that this S curve could help us understand how people learn, how we grow. So
Mhm.
here's what it looks like. So at the base of that S, growth is really slow. It feels like a slog, and it's not really slow. It just feels slow because you're moving, but you haven't hit the knee of the curve yet. And so you're moving along. It feels discouraging. You can feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're not making any progress. But then what happens is you hit the knee of that curve, and then you move into the steep part of the curve. And this is where you know enough, but not too much. It's hard, but not too hard. And all of your neurons are firing.
Yeah,
And whereas at the low end of the S curve, the math says lots of time for very little to happen. Now, in the sweet spot, in a little time, a lot happens.
totally.
That's what it looks and feels like. And that is, the best part of the S curve of learning. And then you get to the top. And what happens at the top? Well, you've mastered what it is you're trying to do, but growth has started to slow. And so, whereas at the low end, you were overwhelmed, now you're underwhelmed because you're no longer learning. You're no longer getting dopamine that makes you happy because you're learning. And so, what happens when you get to the top of that S curve? You've got to jump to the bottom of a new S curve. That's what
Mm.
growth looks like: is you learn, you leap and repeat. So the S curve of learning helps us understand that process of growth that all of us go through.